Good morning, John.
Morning, Dewald. How's it going?
Good. Thank you for joining us here at the CRI workshop in Paul. Introduce yourself to us, please, for the people that don't know you yet.
All right, so my name is John. I've been hired as a packaging specialist for the CRI, and I've been working for them now since September 2024. So I'm a year and a half into the job.
Okay.
So what does a packing specialist do? What do you do for CRI?
That's a good question. So my role, I am based in extension. So a lot of it is assisting with packaging related issues in the pack houses throughout the logistics chain. And I'm supposed to be doing research as well in terms of looking at new packaging options, finding ways to improve what we're doing in the pack houses, how we apply our packaging, how we use it.
But I think let's step it back a little bit as to where do you find a packaging specialist?
Yes.
Because it's not something you kick out behind every second box.
Huh.
So, John, tell us where you come from. How did you get to being here?
Yeah, that's a good question, actually. So I studied materials engineering at UCT, and I did a master's for NAMPAC back in the day, which was actually looking at board and cartons.
Okay.
And then after I graduated, I had a little bit of a career diversion. And
The scenic route.
Yeah, I went the scenic route. Yeah, I worked in diamonds for a while, and I did forensic engineering. And then I got a job at NAMPAC again in their paper lab as a pulp and a carton and paper specialist. So I spent a lot of time there, and then I went and lectured at WITS for a couple of years in engineering design and materials. And then I got the job at the CRI because I was doing research for the CRI already, because cartons and board has been my kind of specialty for the last 20 odd years.
But that's something, if you stand around the braai with people you've never met before, how do you become interested in cardboard?
Yeah, look, I'll be honest with you. So I had an interest in composites at Varsity and failure and fracture. And cardboard is a composite material if you really go down to being specific about how to define it. So when I got offered the opportunity to do the masters, it was in my interest, and I was like, oh, well, this is interesting. I didn't know much about it, and I just went from there. And I'm quite passionate about my boxes. So
Wow.
Yeah.
Incredible. And I mean, the citrus industry has gone through many iterations of how they package their fruit over time. And obviously, each time things get changed to improve certain things. So you've inherited something that's been coming for a long time. And to be looking at that and seeing how it can still be improved must be very interesting.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, it's challenging and interesting. And I think the reality is that there is actually a lot of opportunity, because whereas it's gone through a couple of iterations and there has been a lot of work done on it, there's still a lot that we don't know.
Yes, for sure.
So there's lots of opportunity to optimize, improve efficiency, especially with automated plants and factories and that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of change coming, I think.
Where do you see something in the industry at the moment where you say, okay, we need to put attention to this?
Okay, so I have a big concern about pallets at the moment. So
The wooden pallets.
Yes, wooden pallets.
Okay.
So we've got, within our industry, there are a lot of different designs of pallet that are being used, and a lot of the time the pallets that are being used aren't actually suitable for what's been packed on them. That's the first problem. And then the second thing is the pallet quality. It's very variable. So there are some manufacturers that produce a really good quality pallet, but they will be more expensive than someone who's potentially cutting corners. And the knee-jerk reaction is to go for the cheaper pallet because you're saving money without, in my opinion, fully understanding the risks that you take by going for a substandard pallet. So the problem is it's also a mass-produced item. So
Yes.
There will always be variation in it, and there are always going to be some issues. But the problem is when you have an issue and you don't catch it, and then you palletize on it and it goes to Europe, and then there's a problem. That has big financial ramifications for that particular pack house or exporter.
What can go wrong with the pallet? The few things I've seen in pack houses, and I've happened to have been in a couple, is that often forklift drivers are just not careful enough, and they would ding it. It might get wet.
So
Those kind of things.
We're talking just about the base now.
Yeah. You.
So in terms of the base, the first issue is let's say the quality of the pallet to start with. So you can have the incorrect thickness wood, the incorrect width, the actual manufacture of it is not symmetrical, or there's slats missing, or they've used the incorrect length nails, which obviously then makes it more prone to having issues if it gets hit by a forklift or something like that. You can have defects in the planks, like cracks, too much wane on the blocks. Cracking on the blocks it can be an issue if it's cracked too far, and then obviously you can get mold depending on what wood species has been used for the pallets. I think that would kind of summarize most of it. And of course, the other thing that's very important for pallet is the heat treatment.
Yes.
So if you're going to export, it has to be treated, and you have to have the ISBN mark. It has to be done by a certified pallet manufacturer. And that's obviously very important.
Who does that certification?
That's the Department of Agriculture.
Oh, they do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Something I've also seen with pallets is where you go to pack cold storage facilities, and they store the pallets on shelves above the
Yes,
ground,
yeah.
and where they are literally holding the edges of the pallet,
Yes.
and the rest of the pallet has to keep the strength integrity to keep the rest of the pallet up, and then you sometimes see that wood sagging, and it looks very dodgy.
yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you there, and to catch on to her point, can you maybe just tell us quickly what is the total weight that a citrus pallet has got to carry?
So that's a very interesting question. We've always kind of worked on 1.3, 1.4 tons, but we've had reports of people packing like 22 kgs of lemons in an A15C, and if you do the maths, then that pushes the weight on the pallet to 1.5,
Okay.
potentially even higher than that. And that's a concern. I mean, that's something that's come up literally in these workshops. And the question now is our pallet actually spec'd for that? Like, because we've got recommendations for a citrus pallet, and one of the most important is that the bearer is 25 mils thick. As soon as you don't go with a 25 mil thick bearer, then you're going to see sag, underload in the racks.
That's the cross.
Yes,
beam.
yeah. Depending on how it's manufactured, because obviously you've got different designs that you can do.
Okay.
But in terms of sag, that's the ideal way to construct it, because then that bearer is supposed to carry the majority of that bending load.
I think a pallet is one of those things that people just don't pay attention to. I need X amount of pallets for the season. That's forecasted for so many boxes. I'm going to pack. Get a price from the 3 or 4 manufacturers. Yeah. Manufacturer X is the cheapest. Go place the order. There we go. What attention should growers give, or pack houses give, towards pallets?
So I see the whole palletized loads as a system. And if any component of your system has an issue, then your system has an issue. Now, the pallet is the foundation of your load. So if your foundation is faulty, it only gets worse after that. And it's not just in terms of strength, there's also the ventilation issue as well. So if you've got the wrong design and the majority of your ventils are covered on the carton, you've kind of... You're starting off on the wrong foot in terms of trying to get your cooling right, trying to get the ventilation right, and getting your fruit to wherever it's going in the best possible condition. So pallet is, in my opinion, very important. And if you compromise on it, then...
It is one of those things which we can all agree it's hugely important. But, a grower, he thinks about his product, and the product has to be packaged, so sometimes it's a bit of a grudge purchase. And then a pallet is like... This is not even something that comes from the farm. It doesn't even, it's like something that we just have to, a bit like insurance. It's a grudge purchase.
Exactly right. And I actually was talking to someone the other day, and I used that exact analogy. You take insurance out to mitigate risk.
Yeah.
So
Same with the pallet.
the reality is, how often do you actually need that insurance? Like, more, maybe once in your lifetime, twice, but you don't actually need it every day. But the moment you have a problem and you don't have the insurance, then you've got a problem. You understand? A
Yeah.
big problem, because now and we're trying to start working towards a risk mentality. So if you
Yeah.
use a substandard pallet, you are increasing the likelihood that you will have a problem. It's not to say that you will definitely have a problem, because you may be lucky and you get through this season and you don't have issues. You might get through next season, but at some point, in my opinion, it will catch you. Because
Yeah.
as Theododa said, you just need one forklift driver to hit it just
Yeah.
wrong. Or, I mean, in the cold stores now, they're handling your pallet 6-7 times, which is a lot of times to handle a pallet. So every
Yeah.
time that guy lifts it, you run the risk of him hitting it and causing damage. So pallets is an issue. In terms of general things, we're looking at strapping. So strapping, there seems to be some debate as to how tight you should strap and what material should be used, because
Who's,
there's a lot of
who's having the
options.
debate?
I'm having the debate.
Okay.
So look, I've visited a fair amount of pack houses
Yes.
this season, and I've seen a lot of variation in the tension on the strapping, how they do it, how it's applied. So we want to just look at it in a bit more detail and figure out, okay, what is the most...
So pulling it and goes ksh is not the correct way.
No, ideally not. No.
Okay.
It's, rather unscientific. So we're looking at how we can measure the tension, also what's the best way to get a reproducible tension, and then what that tension should be so that the strapping actually stays tense throughout the journey, and what would be the optimal material for that. So that's one thing we're looking at. I've mentioned the pallets. We're doing trials on a new pallet base, commercial trials this year. We're interested in bulk bins because there seems to be a lot of variation in the strapping as to how bulk bins should be strapped. So that's something it's on the radar. We're going to be looking at that. Evaluating new packaging, so like the plastic bulk bins, the new plastic crate, or any kind of other materials for packaging. And then we've got a research project where we're looking at cartons and damage that might be happening to the carton through the logistics chain, to basically try and see if there are areas where damage is occurring that we could minimize or reduce. And then there's a couple of side projects in terms of producing a new pallet guide, looking at some kind of pallet defect sheet. So, what's the rejectable pallet for a pallet and what's not. And then like carton erecting, just basic interest and information as to if it's this and this and this could be the solution, or, this is an issue for your palletizing.
Interesting, and so important for the industry, because
Yeah, but
for most growers and pack houses, the cost of the carton is such a big and important part, and how important the carton is, and the rest, carton and all the other parts of packaging, to get it to the market.
Yeah, exactly right.
And when you see a pallet, it must have the most beautiful fruit on the inside, but if there's damage to a carton or to the actual pallet, you're losing already.
So you highlighting a very important point there that I feel very strongly about, and I know that there'll be people that disagree with me, but if you look at packaging holistically, packaging, one of its primary roles is to sell.
Yes.
So if your packaging looks terrible,
it's advertising.
and my thought is that if someone goes now, they're going to grade your fruit, but they see this box and it looks horrible, already they're predisposed to not wanting to give you a good grade on what's inside. So it's like a mental thing. Like we buy with our eyes. So if it's appealing and it looks nice, you're more likely to get a better result, in my opinion, than if it's squashed and they're scuffed and it's looking wet and
yeah, it's like if you receive a take-a-lot box and it looks like it's been kicked around, you're going to be skeptical of the stuff inside is still
exactly right.
That's how it is.
Yeah, that is how it is.
Yeah.
I think my personal opinion is that I think there's more than one right way of doing certain things, but we just need to have the information to be able to say, if you're going to do it this way, then you do this, and if you're going to do it that, and that's what we're working towards in terms of testing and experimentation. We've got access to an acceleration rig at Stellenbosch University, and we can do these kinds of tests. An acceleration rig. So that what they do is they palletize a load and then they accelerate it at like 1G, 2Gs, 3Gs to just see how your packaging is
So like some of the farm truck drivers would drive.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and the other thing is we're also going to start looking at trying to measure what happens on the truck. So accelerations, braking, deceleration, humidity, temperature, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything in particular that you would like to say to growers or anybody listening to this about packaging?
So I think the straight message is that you want to get the best quality for your money, and quality is very important. So don't compromise on quality just to try and cut your expenses, because at some point it will catch you. But I do make the point that if you can get the same quality for a cheaper price, then obviously that makes economic sense. That is worth it, and there are opportunities for that. But we do have a guideline. We've got recommendations. Most of the manufacturers of cartons and corner pieces and that also have their recommendations, and we should follow that and make sure that what we're buying is fit for the purpose that we want it for, and because you're going to pay for the result that you get essentially.
Something we haven't even touched on is and it's got to do with boxes and pallets, is that if you mentioned it, that if your slats in your pallet is not correct, you're not going to have the cold air flowing up.
Yeah, I was thinking about
from
the
bottom,
circulation.
from the bottom through the pallet to cool the fruit on the inside. So it's a simple but very difficult aspect of your and it is
Fundamental, actually.
it is all the hard work that you've done through the year is wrapped up in that pallet. Okay, that's got to go very far.
100%, yes. And that's the thing. So, like you said, they spend a lot of money on getting the fruit to the pack house. You spend a lot of money in the pack house. But the carton is a big, big expense. So there always will be a desire to try and, cut that cost. But at the end of the day, if you can't get that fruit to your market, all the rest of your money has been wasted. Because your fruit's not going to sell.
In an ideal world, if you could snap your fingers or somebody would give you the agricultural marketing budget, what would you say should a box look like for citrus?
What should a box look like? Well,
To keep it the safest, best condition possible. If you could get that at an affordable rate, what would that look like?
Oh, that's a difficult question. I'd have to think about that. That's not a straightforward thing, because it depends on the buyer, and the buyer is going to influence what carton you send, what volume, how much fruit, and it also look. If I had a wish, I would say that all our packaging that we send overseas should be shelf ready. So rather than having repacking whatever, we send it over, it gets put on the shelves there, and it's ready to go. And the reason I say that is that it's then meets your recyclability targets, it meets the reusability targets that the legislation that's coming through. Plus, it saves the buyer money, because they don't have to repack the fruit.
Yes.
And that to me makes logical sense. So I think if I had one wish, I would say that's what I would push for, to make sure that we have the best quality boxes that, or whatever it is, plastic crates or whatever, that can be used as the primary packaging for the sale of that fruit in whatever market it's going to. But that is a bit of wishful thinking on my part.
Well, it certainly sounds like there are many aspects that you need to pay attention to. And as you say, if you can incrementally improve them, it will make a difference back to the grower.
Yes, definitely.
So good luck, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
It's a fascinating subject, just as the previous ones we've done. And it is it doesn't look so important, but it is so important. And I'm keen to see what you guys are coming up with, and we probably will see it in the pack houses soon. So thanks for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure.